Do you not like doctors? Okay. I feel like a TV host sitting in a normal chair and not on the bed. This is like ridiculously weird. Hola muchachos, welcome here. I lost my voice a couple days ago and I am just getting it back, so that's why I sound like this. You should have heard me singing worship songs at church. It was it was insane. So since giving birth to Molly, I've had a lot of people asking a lot of questions. And I think the main reason for that is because it's not like this was my first or my second. Like, this was my fourth time, and on top of it, it was a home birth, and on top of it, I tried some different techniques to help cope with the pain, and that is what this video is. I went onto my Instagram and I asked you guys to send me questions just specifically about labor. There are so many mamas, and I realized this, like, when I look through the comment section, there's just so many mamas that are giving birth soon, trying to get pregnant, and looking down the road at giving birth and all this stuff. So I hope that this video is helpful and informative. I'm just sharing my experience, what I went through, and hopefully someone can take something from this. So thank you for being here and for watching. Let's go ahead and get started. I over creamed this thing. I tried to do a cool slow-mo for Instagram, and by doing that I completely over creamed this thing. But I'm not a quitter, so I'll drink it. A lot of people are asking what helped the most that I did during pregnancy to have a good labor. I made a whole video about ways that I was preparing my body for labor. There were some classics like the raspberry leaf tea and the evening primrose oil, and there was maybe some other things that you guys haven't heard of. So I can link that down below. It'll pretty much answer everything, but honestly, the main thing that I can say that really helped me going into labor was squatting. I can't tell you guys how awesome a deep set squat is to do. Like, literally starting beginning of your pregnancy. It is going to just create flexibility. It is going to open up that area. And it's also, for me, a really great position for myself to labor in. If you watched my home birth video, you would have seen that I squatted through a lot of the contractions because I could just feel Molly pushing down and coming down, and I wanted to really encourage that. Even through the pain, I really wanted to encourage that pressure. Deep set squatting, like, start day one and just get that openness and that flexibility through that area. It is so crucial and really great to have that kind of mobility during labor. Love saying mobility. Mobility, I love that word. Does it hurt too bad that you just can't take it anymore? No. I'm someone that has a very short active labor point. Some people are in active labor for hours and hours, maybe days. At that point, usually they would look towards an epidural if they were trying to go for natural, or a C-section, or just push through, or whatever. But I've never gotten to a point where I'm like, I can't take this anymore. I've actually never gotten there, and maybe that's why I've just continued to do natural labor, because I never felt like I needed something else to cope. And that's just personal. I think a lot of that may be genetics too, but I've never gotten to the point where it's too bad and I can't take it. I've just consistently pushed through the pain, and literally. People are asking which labor was the hardest and why, and then what was different about this labor compared to your others. Let me put something on the screen. With Ivy, my main pain was back labor. That was my main pain. With Calvin, my main pain being in labor with him was pushing him out, because he was holding himself like this, so he came out feeling very big to me. With Elizabeth, my main pain was actually going from early labor to active labor. Like, that transition, that was my main pain. With this labor, I would actually say the main pain was my contractions, especially later on. But I had the most deep pressure focused contractions with Molly. It was insane. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, I've never had contractions that bad before. I thought it would be easier being my fourth time around, They're way more intense, but it makes sense. Your body just knows what it's doing, so it kind of just full force goes for it the more children that you have. So that was kind of the difference in this labor versus the others, was the extremely painful contractions that I was having. And if you watch my home birth with Elizabeth, that video, and my home birth with Molly, you can tell with Molly I'm in way more pain than I was with Elizabeth. I can't say which labor was the hardest because they all had different elements of hard. And this labor with Molly was so different because it was spread out between 2 days. Just kind of really, really weird. And if you haven't seen my birth vlog or my birth story or whatever, I'm just gonna put some pregnancy and labor videos down below that you can check out, and it's gonna make more sense of this video. Moving on, what are some good ways to support the person going through labor? I'm gonna get Kieran, can you write just a few notes, Kieran's gonna edit this, of what you would say, like give us 3 top things to support someone in labor. Quick and to the point, just write them here or somewhere. Personally, for me, what I need to be reminded of by my support team is that God is good, and to preach to me that God is giving me strength, that God has given me this child to birth, that God has given me this body to labor with. Connection to Christ during labor is extremely beautiful and empowering. So that's huge. Also encouraging me to stay calm. So sometimes you can kind of feel like you're out of control. So encouraging me to stay calm, low tones, and then just pressure points. It felt really good for people to squeeze my hips. It felt good to have my tummy lifted up. It felt good for me to physically be lifted up by my arms. Those are kind of my top 3 things. I noticed in your labor video you were bleeding on your arm. How did that happen? That was just from a shot. So I believe it was oxytocin. Anyway, I was induced with Ivy on that. I was full on induced with her with oxytocin. Anyway, but I've always gotten a shot of it after, except with Ivy because it was already running through my veins. But I always got a shot of it after because it encourages some mild contractions that helps me birth my placenta easier. So that's what that was. I didn't show it in the video just because the nurse was in the way of the camera, but this got a nice little shot in my arm. Does it hurt / how does it feel when your water breaks? I love when my water breaks. The amount of pressure that it takes off, like I feel, this is a huge mosquito bite on my arm. Don't scratch your mosquito bites, kids, unless they're really itchy. I have to, like, my parents always told me to slap it. No offense, guys. It doesn't have a I don't get close to pushing until my water full on breaks. Like as soon as my water breaks, within 5-10 minutes, a baby is born. So for me, I actually feel like it's a lot of intense pressure, and then as soon as that water comes out, the baby starts to come down, and that's when I push, and pushing is actually really relieving. I find pushing feels good, and a lot of mamas will say that. Not all mamas, but a lot of mamas will say as soon as you can start pushing, there is some relief there. It's like counteractive pain, that kind of idea. Does it hurt? No. I mean, it doesn't hurt at all. I love when my water breaks. I had my water broken with Calvin, and that felt really good. My water broke when I was actually pushing with Ivy. It just all of a sudden like, and then with both Elizabeth and Molly, it just broke in the bathtub, and it was just kind of like a pop. It doesn't hurt. It's not like it's connected to your body. I love it. Honestly, as soon as the water breaks, I'm like, yeah. Did you tear? No. The only time I've ever torn was with Ivy, and I think it was because she was my first. Also, I didn't do anything to prepare my lady parts for delivery with Ivy. I didn't know about evening primrose oil. You can use lavender, like a lavender essential oil with a other oil to rub on that area. Lavender encourages your skin to stretch. There were so many things I didn't realize until Calvin, and I was like, I'm going to do all these things, but also at the same time, Ivy kind of helped stretch that area, so all the other kids coming through didn't tear it at all. And having a water birth, I never get the ring of fire. That area is super moist and really flexible, so the baby just comes out, no tearing. I find it's easy to deliver the placenta as well because it's just really moist, and I'm trying to think of a word. Someone help me. Put it right here. I can't think of the word, but okay, next question. Kieran seems incredibly in tune with your needs during labor. How did you prepare together? Every labor has prepared us for the next one. Kieran learned a lot in my labor with Ivy, especially from the midwife. And then from there, with Calvin, with Elizabeth, with Molly, he's just learned more and more, and it's just gotten better and better for both of us. We've both understood what I needed because of my previous labor. Kieran also knows the power of words. So to tell me during a time that I'm just in pain and I'm struggling, for him to tell me that I'm strong, that I'm beautiful, that I'm doing great is just, obviously, doesn't matter who you are, it's uplifting, and it feels really good for someone to be cheering you on when you're struggling. So it's not like we really sat down and kind of prepared things for labor, but Kieran just knew from previous experience what to do. Do you get nervous about what could go wrong during a home birth? No, absolutely not. The only thing that cannot be done at a home birth is a C-section. When my midwife comes before, like they always do a home visit before and kind of map out where they're going to set things up and plug things in and whatever, they bring bins, and it's pretty much a hospital in a bin. It has everything. There's something wrong with how I'm breathing, how baby's breathing. They have oxygen tanks. If there is some extra issues, they have stuff for that. If I started hemorrhaging, we have medication that they can give me. Everything that I really needed was here, except for if I had to have a C-section. Previously, I had 2 hospital births. My first one and my second one were hospital births, and then my third and my fourth were home births. But they've all been natural. There's been no forceps, there's been no epidurals, there's been no nothing. Like, it's been simple, easy, and very kind of like textbook, I guess you could say. No complications in my pregnancies or in my labors. So the idea of giving birth at home was, if anything, it made me more calm and it gave me more peace. So it's not for everyone because it is different. Like, it's definitely different from giving birth in a hospital, but I mean, I've been able to do it twice and it's great, and I would love to be able to do it a third time. Wink, wink, Kieran. I love this question. Or actually, it's kind of like a statement question. Do you not like doctors? Well, I guess it's a question. There's just no question mark. I think when people hear that I'm doing a home birth, they're like, oh, she doesn't like doctors. I don't not like doctors. I think doctors are great. I think doctors help a lot of people. It's not that I gave birth at home to stay away from a doctor. Also, when I gave birth in the hospital, I didn't see doctors. I had just my midwives there. When you have a midwife, you don't get a doctor coming in and being like, hey, I'm gonna help you. Just because you're giving birth at a hospital doesn't mean a doctor is gonna deliver your baby. When I gave birth in the hospital twice, my midwives delivered my baby. Do you not like doctors? Okay. I already answered this, but have you ever had back labor? Yes, with Ivy. So Ivy was the only pregnancy or like baby that was inside me that I didn't go to the chiropractor for. With Calvin, Elizabeth, and Molly, I always went to the chiropractor religiously, my prenatal chiropractor. And I love her. She's literally my angel, and she positioned my body with those 3 kids to ensure that I would be in the best situation body-wise for labor. I've never had back labor with any of my other kids. It was just Ivy. And even going into labor with her, I felt my body and was like, oh no. Things were tight, things were cracky, things were twisted, things weren't really comfortable. So doing the chiropractor with the rest of my kids, I had huge, hey girl, Molly's squeaking. Huge amounts of I'm gonna grab Molly. I'm gonna grab her. Hold up. My lovey-dovey. My lovey. Say hello to my little friend. The Malsters. The Malls. Love you. Look at you. Just getting so big and so chubby. My word. She looks exactly like Ivy. The more she lives, the more she Ivies. With Ivy, what I did with back labor, I found it to be more comfortable on my side. I couldn't be on all fours. It was really hard to stay up. And being on my back made it worse. So being on my side, and then I had my doula and Kieran just heat up these bean bags so hot. I literally had blisters on my back afterwards, but they heated them up so hot and just were continually putting them on my back. That was really the only thing that helped with my back labor. Okay, anything and everything about the combs. So many people were asking about the combs. I heard about combs on Instagram. There was a mama who did the comb trick, and she had a home birth as well. And I think it was her third or fourth, and she said, amazing. Like, it changed. I feel like this is really bright. Hold on. She said it changed the game for her. Like, it was amazing. And I was like, let me look into this. So the idea of a comb, I'm going to show you a comb. Just hold on. I did use this comb, and I do think I broke this when I was using it. The idea of using a comb during labor is taking the spikes and putting it against your palm and squeezing. So this works in a couple different ways. The first way is an acupuncture kind of nerve thing. There's nerves in your hands that when you push into them, it releases something while you're having contractions, and it helps you cope with the pain easier. There's a science. I don't know it, but there is a science. Okay. This is going really well. But hitting up those nerves helps you cope with the pain of a really intense contraction. And then secondly, when you're pushing down into this like really hard, your brain registers this before it registers a contraction. Therefore, you feel the contraction less. And guys, I will never not labor with a comb. I will never not labor with a comb. This really did change the game. For it being literally the hardest contractions I've ever had, this comb was a lifesaver. So that's the whole science behind it. I had a comb in each hand, and I just used them during really painful contractions. So thankful I did. It really did help. It also gave me just something to focus on. I needed that focus. I needed something that I could tangibly hold and squeeze and control. Because the thing is, with contractions, you have no control over it. And I think sometimes that might be the hardest thing about a contraction, is having no control. It just comes and you have to deal with it. So having something where you were like, I can control this, I'm gonna push this into my hand, I'm just gonna focus on this, felt really it felt really special. Like, it felt like something where it was like, this is me taking control of this, and therefore we're doing good. There was just something magical about these combs. So highly recommend the combs. I think every laboring woman, whether you're doing it natural or maybe you are having an epidural, but you just need something to hold on to other than someone's hand, like something that's just a little bit more kind of powerful. Combs are great. They were awesome. So that's kind of my roundup on the combs. I really love the combs. Anyway, guys, thank you for being here and watching my labor Q&A. If you do have any extra questions, leave them in a comment down below, and I'll see if I can get to them and answer them, because there were so many questions that I could only get to so many in this video. But if you're having a baby, or you're pregnant, or labor is coming soon, or trying to conceive, or whatever, leave a comment down below and just let us know how you're doing, and maybe we can pray over you and what is to come, or what you hope is to come. So thank you so much for watching. We think you guys are cool. We do. Me and the Malsters, we think you guys are pretty cool. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!